And we're back with more exciting adventures of the Incredible Hokes. I'm Chris.
I am Mark.
And that young rascal is...
Jude.
Jude.
And this is whatever this guy's name is.
He's got his Transformers. We told him he could sit in on a couple of shows. He's just got to be quiet and not make distractions. So he just keeps showing his Transformers to you guys on camera. So, but the hardest part is not cussing so much when he's in here. So we've been working on that. Anyway... Speaking of working on controlling ourselves, what is our topic for today?
It's your topic.
Oh, you want me to introduce it? So here's my deal. If you could bring back, I had put a number on it, but we won't put a number on it. If you could bring back a celebrity, which celebrity would you bring back that has died in your lifetime? You had to live at some point when they lived. So, like, you couldn't say Mozart, but you could say Freddie Mercury. Right. See what I'm saying?
Sure.
You could you couldn't say Shakespeare, but you could say, who's somebody that died? Who's a writer that died? You couldn't say Shakespeare, but you can say a writer that you really like that died in your lifetime.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, you bring back David Lean. You know what I mean? You couldn't say Shakespeare, but you could say David Lean.
Right.
There you go. That's a better example. So, who would be artist, director, writer, comedian, singer, poet?
The first person that came to mind is John Lennon. John Lennon would be, if we could stop what happened to him and where he'd still be with us, John Lennon.
He had a lot to give. He was like in his 40s, early 40s when he died.
Yeah, he was still a young guy. I mean,
or was he even that old? Yeah, he was getting close to 40.
He was in his early 40s. No, not much beyond that. So he was still. Just getting to that point in life where you're preparing to go into his middle age, and then struck down really in his prime. Just didn't need to happen, and had so much more to give still. Yeah, his music was still terrific.
I think a common thread in these is for me at least, and I'm assuming you, is like, what would they have said if they just had witnessed? What would John Lennon have to say about 9/11? What would John Lennon have to say about?
Right.
Well,
the Berlin Wall coming down, I would have loved to have seen what John Lennon would have done with that. Right. I just would have been very fascinated by that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he did. Mine, I'm going to go with a little different approach, is John Candy. Oh. We were watching Home Alone that's kind of what started this for me. We're watching Home Alone over Christmas, and John Candy's got a wonderful little bit part in it where he's the polka guy, and I did some reading on it. He ad-libbed his line. It's hysterical stuff. And my God, how much stuff did we miss that this guy could have done? He was so good in JFK. Yeah. Would he have been that guy that did the dramatic role and win an Oscar, and an unlikely Oscar, because he was, a powerhouse. Right. In his small little part of JFK, and
here it is, a dramatic role, and he was right,
awesome.
He was right there into it, just like Joe Pesci and Kevin Costner. He was right there. So
and at Thanksgiving time, we watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and it's just he's so funny, but then again he's so emotionally open. I love the guy. We missed. There's a lot. He's only in his 40s. So much content.
Yeah, really, still a young guy. Really,
he could have made. There's so many things he could have done. Mm-hmm. So many roles have been great for him, and I wish we'd had him.
I like that choice. I like that.
So what's another one for you?
I'm a George Carlin fan. Yeah. And I realized when he died, he was 70, right at 70. Left a lot of work. His body work was extensive, but still.
What year did he die?
Was
it pre
2000? he died around 2004, I think.
Really?
Somewhere around there. At any rate, it would have been interesting to see him comment on things that happened after that. Even if I didn't always agree with what he was saying, he made you kind of think. But it was fair. I felt he was a fair man, even with points that it was an opposing view. And I think that's all we can ask for, even nowadays. If people, whether you're a pro-Obama or pro-Trump, if we could have opposing views and people be more fair about it.
Yeah.
And I think Carlin had a way of doing that. He would be funny and the satire is there, but he was fair too. Made you kind of think about it. And it's just rare. We don't have enough of that kind of challenge you, but also leave it to you to work it out.
Yeah, we're kind of in an age where the comedy that comes with a particular point of view, if they're left leaning or right leaning, the other side is the enemy. And I won't name names, but like a lot of these left leaning comedic shows, Comedy Central and things like that, and the late night shows, there's no room for error or grace for the other side. But it seems like the people they agree with got all kinds of room for grace.
Yeah.
And
it's been us against them for a long time now, sadly.
And I was never a huge George Carlin fan. At one point, I didn't like him. I actually didn't like him. He got on a real atheist kick for a while. At the time, I was pretty religious, and I found him very offensive because he felt like when he got his atheist kick, he was almost like calling me a dumb son of a bitch for believing. And I took offense to that. I don't know if he softened that up in his lifetime. I don't know. But I did kind of hold that against him for a while. But, over his whole body of work, the guy was brilliant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that one narrow field I felt was a little much.
Well, there was some of that where,
But times have changed, and
it was hard for me to listen to too. So.
I've softened my opinion on all religion and all that anyway, so I might have more to agree with him on now than at the time. Who knows? All right, my next one will be Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger was so young and so good, and he had just started doing the kind of roles that were really mattering. Brokeback Mountain,
right,
and The Dark Knight and things like that, and to just be stunted that soon.
Yeah.
Forget the Joker and Dark Knight. I mean, Brokeback Mountain is like one of the best performances of that decade. He's so good. He's so good.
Yeah,
well, he changes,
it's a solid performance for sure.
He changes his voice and mannerisms, and he makes even somebody who's holding so many emotions close to the vest still feel open and vulnerable. It's a powerful performance, and I don't know, it'd be hard pressed to find somebody to do that right now. We don't have that as many. We have a lot of movie stars right now. We have a whole lot of great actors, and I felt like he was one of the great actors. So, too short. I'd love to see him tackle. Well, she's here now to take on some bigger stuff. You know what I mean? Take on the in a time of sci-fi and comic book movies. I'd like to see a Heath Ledger taking on the really weighty stuff.
Oh yeah, there's just his potential being really limitless, and really just on the cusp of that, but leaving us with that really great performance there in The Dark Knight, and there's very few actors or actresses you look at that had careers like that where you had this kind of that shortened career just on the cusp of something, and his unfortunately is one of those too where we just wonder what could have been.
Mm-hmm. All right, next for you.
Next for me, I would say Brandon Lee. He starred in a film called The Crow, and I remember here that came out in '94, and here he is, the son of martial artist Bruce Lee, and he had been in a few action films like Showdown in Little Tokyo and things like that. This guy was one of those guys. What he did in The Crow was so interesting. A lot like Heath Ledger, and a guy who was, you just felt like the potential was there. I mean, obviously with Heath Ledger even more so, but with Brandon Lee, you just felt like the sky was going to be the limit for him in action films, because he had kind of been second banana comic relief in other action films to that point. This was his chance to be the guy, and then to die tragically on set in that accident. It's just has always haunted me, and it's a haunting story that he's in too. So, and then have his dad die accidentally as well. Yeah, it's just it's one of those haunting things. So I would have loved to see Brandon Lee stick around and see what he could have done. Could he have matched what his father had achieved in such a short time, and then eclipsed it? We'll never know.
We'll never know. And then
because think about it, in the '90s, Asian cinema, like the Hong Kong cinema, was such an influence. You couldn't go to Blockbuster and other rental places. They had whole sections where you get John Woo movies. And it was a big thing at the time, Chow Yun-fat was a big star. So, and Jackie Chan had come back in a big way with Rumble in the Bronx and so on. Yeah. So Brandon Lee could have so benefited and rode that wave and could have been, so much bigger than even those guys.
As a testament to him, The Crow, I've never seen any of the sequels that they made or the other expanded movies they made. There's been talks of remakes, and I'll never watch them because to me, The Crow belongs to him, and that's it. It belongs to The Crow belongs to Brandon Lee. I don't want to know about sequels. I don't want to know about remakes. That's his. It's a story. It's forever in stone, and I just because that's his. Yeah, forever.
And their mistake as a franchise was not leaving it alone for a while. I never understood why. It's like, look, you realize when people think of The Crow, we think Brandon Lee. Yeah. It's like, why not take, it's like 10 years to let people kind of then try again. But instead they were like, as early as 95, they were working on a sequel and all that, and trying to recast the role and all that. And it was just, it's like, you really just need to let this kind of rest a while. And the films have only been, I think, marginally successful at best.
Yeah. All right. My last one will be, I got distracted with something on the computer. Something popped on the computer totally distracted me. I think for me, the last one is somewhat of a selfish pick. Sam Kinison. I might be one of the last few people carrying the torch for Sam Kinison. That he was you have to keep in mind where I was when Sam was big. Sam was saying the things that I was thinking. Yeah, I was in a very repressed situation with, religion and fundamentalism and stuff like that. Sure. So here was a guy that I could relate to. He had been taught the same things I had been taught. Right. In terms of religion, being a former preacher and things like that. But yet he was saying he had the same background, but could say what I wanted to say. Yeah. And I was always infatuated with that, with Sam Kinison. And, people that don't like him, I just, that's fine. I don't give two craps. You should go over somewhere else and not like him. I'm going to be right here liking him. Right. And I've always felt like the story that I'm haunted by Sam's death. I'm haunted by the preacher turned comic turned dying too soon. All that stuff haunts me, but the main thing, the selfish reason, I wish he was here. I want to know what he thought of 9/11. I want to know what he thought of Hillary. I want to know what he thought of Trump. I want to know what he thought of all those things.
Yeah.
What would he have thought of Monica and Clinton?
Right.
What would he have thought of the Obama
scandal.
years?
Yeah.
What would he have said? I miss his input.
Yeah. What would he have thought of the Great Recession?
All those things. I wish Sam was here. I could know what his spin on it was. That's what I mean. It's completely selfish reasons. But I related to him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's very few artists I relate to, and he was one of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he would be my. He actually is the one. I named him last, but if you said, "Oh, Chris, you only got one," it'd have been him, hands down.
I thought I was actually expecting one of us to say Phil Hartman, the actor comedian. Phil Hartman.
Yeah.
He's one that also died
too soon.
Too soon and very tragically. And
he didn't deserve that.
And he didn't deserve that.
For a reminder, remember he was murdered by his wife.
Yeah, and bless her. She had her own problem, mental and drug-related issues, and that guy. Can you imagine so many movies and films he could have and TV shows he could have been part of? It's just a shame. We got robbed of that talent.
And plus, like we just said, I mean, everything I've read about him, he was she was nuts, and he was a gentle soul, and
right.
He didn't deserve. That's not how the way he was supposed to go.
No.
You know what I mean? That was brutally wrong. That's the way he. And there's others, of course. There's so many. That's just the name that I'm thinking of.
Iceberg. Yeah.
I mean, I could say Steve McNair. I could say Chris
one.
Farley. I could say God, I don't even know where to begin. That I wish they were still around to give their input, hear their thoughts, hear their music, things like that.
Yeah. I would have liked someone to have gotten to Kurt Cobain and convincing that sticking around wouldn't be such a bad idea.
Yeah. He had a lot. Again, what was his thoughts of being on these different things?
And I know Courtney Love is somewhat of a.
And we just ran. Oh, we're still recording. The battery is running low, but we're still good.
Well,
to wrap it up.
Suffice to say, Courtney Love, controversial, yes, person, but I always admired what she said about her husband, and was like, she read the letter and she would comment on every sentence. It was heartbreaking. She's like,
you think she murdered him, or had he murdered?
No.
Think it was a genuine suicide?
Yep. I think she genuinely cared for him, and it's just heartbreaking. Sometimes people just, if you're that depressed, it's just hard to get to them.
Well, speaking of being depressed and just wishing somebody would get to you already. I do. Is this a show or a cry for help?
It's both.